Hello and welcome back to DocTrack Administrator Training. With this lesson, we're going to cover archiving strategy. Here's a scenario that may be all too familiar to you. Your company has established a documents folder on your network. This is where network users are told to save files and hopefully find them. But there's no formal organization. Users make their own judgment on how to name and organize these files. Over time, this documents folder becomes bigger and more disorganized. It takes more and more time to search for files that may or may not be there. More time is wasted creating redundant copies of files that the user can't find using their own logic. And it becomes nearly impossible to clean up and keep current because there isn't one consistent logic used to keep it organized. Okay, this is bad enough. But imagine that you're responsible for making sure that DocTrack works. So if any of those files have been deleted, moved, or renamed after they were attached, the user is going to get an error message when they try to open it in DocTrack. Well, in the next learning section, you'll discover that DocTrack provides some very clever tools that put you in total control. It allows users to make their own attachments to brand new files that they create without them ever directly accessing the new file's location. We refer to this storage location as the DocTrack archive. And how you choose to organize all of these files is your archiving strategy. Investing a little bit of time up front in developing an easy-to-navigate archive strategy will result in many valuable benefits down the road. It's easy to ensure that the user is seeing the most current and appropriate version of a file. It helps you periodically remove older files that you no longer need to make available. It becomes easier to take advantage of a special DocTrack tool called Virtual Rules, which we'll cover in the next learning section. But perhaps the most valuable benefit of all is that it can help you replace all of those rows of metal filing cabinets with your very own electronic filing cabinet. If you store these important digital files in a way that makes sense to your users, they can instantly access them at their desks. There's no going to the file room and searching through a bunch of file cabinets. No more making multiple copies that they end up storing redundantly. In fact, they can even access those files directly without even opening Sightline and occupying a license. Think of this as a possible first step towards reducing your company's dependence on paper and bringing those benefits all the way to your company's bottom line. There are three major tools provided by DocTrack that help you create this archive. DocTrack Document Saving Rules for archiving electronic files or paper documents. DocTrack Form Output Profiles for popular reports generated through Sightline, such as purchase orders, invoices, and packing slips. And DocTrack Virtual Rules that dynamically search for existing files that meet certain search criteria. There's one thing that these tools all have in common. They specify a file name rule that you create. And your goal will be to design these rules in a way that conforms to a consistent logic that your users can pick up on quickly. This is what we call an archive map. I've designed this flowchart as a tool to guide me as I create the various file name rules. This will result in an archive structure that makes sense to the folks here in our fictitious company, Progressive Cycles. Now, this may look a little confusing, but don't worry about that now. I'll be referring to this archive map in the next section when we set up our file name rules. It will make much more sense to you then. It's highly recommended that you create one of these for your own company after you complete the next learning section. While you're putting it together, it's not a bad idea to get some input from some of the key stakeholders at your company. For example, you'll probably want to see how the paper or electronic files for their department are organized now. Then you can either replicate that in your map or suggest a different way that they may like better. You can download this map, as well as several other map templates from this video's lesson page. Now remember, there's no one right way to do this. The map templates are provided only as suggestions to get you started. The important thing to keep in mind is that you want to be both logical and consistent with the smart path and file names that you use. And your own archive map will help you achieve that. That's all for now. On our next lesson, we'll take a look at Sightline security and Windows security. See you then.